Hello, everyone. What's up? How you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Ask Broman. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. It's actually been, I think, over a month. Let's double check. Ooh, almost over a month. Almost, Broman. But we are back. Life's been busy, but it's been exciting. And I am excited to get back into it with y'all. So many big and exciting changes happening around the world and things like that. But I hope you're well. If you're new to the podcast, this is a podcast about about content creation and small business and basically all the things that I have my hands in and have been involved in for a long time. So if you've ever got a question, I'd love to be a sounding board for you. And that's what this entire thing is all about. So without further ado, we're going to grab our first person. This is I Wear Clothes.
Hello there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good this morning. How's Florida? Is it pretty pog champ?
Florida's very pog champ today, indeed.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. What can I do for you?
So I have 3 topics I'd like to discuss if that's okay.
Sure. Unless they suck, and then I'll just tell you to fuck off. But I don't think I'll have to.
Yeah. Okay. So first one is about the kind of games that I stream.
Okay.
I stream anime games.
Cool.
And I want to build an anime-oriented community.
Not
on
hard
Twitch,
to do.
right? But
Okay.
I want to talk about how I could effectively pursue something like that off of Twitch.
Outside of Twitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what else could I do to
I mean, you have a Facebook, you need to have Instagram, you should probably have a podcast, you should just make content about anime literally everywhere that you can. YouTube, everywhere. And then you interact with your community on every single one of those mediums, and that's how you would build a community. You know, starting up a Discord server is not a bad idea either. But I think you get kind of what I'm saying.
Right. 100 emoji on that.
Sure.
So the other 2, the games I stream, they are anime games, but they're very niche games.
Sure.
And the communities are kind of small, kind of limited. I feel like I average between 30 60 viewers.
Not bad.
But I'm kind of concerned about growth, because the space is kind of limited.
Sure.
So, but the reason I'm concerned, I want to eventually do charity. I remember over a year ago, I was listening to Streaming 101. We said people who want to do charity stream stuff, that we have to be selfish first.
Sure. Yeah.
And we have to grow our streams and gain an audience, right?
Yeah.
Like St. Jude, Guardian Con, cystic fibrosis. I want to get to the point where I can really help people. That would be pretty pog champ, I think.
Sure. So, like, are you concerned that because you're trying to build a community that has like a lot of depth and focus on one thing? Because I mean, first of all, like if you look at your ultimate end consumer would be anyone who watches anime, right? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, more broad than that, but that's kind of the focus.
If you're building an anime focused community, you really shouldn't lie to yourself and say that you want to reach outside of anyone who's interested in anime, because that's a little
I definitely
silly.
do.
Okay. But if you're building your community focused around one thing, trying to target folks outside of that space is not smart. It's a waste of time.
Okay, that does make sense.
So like, there are millions of people that enjoy anime. So I think that, along with doing your streams about, with whatever games that you like and focusing on that, there's a pretty consistent release schedule of games that are based on animes that come out all the time. So maybe playing whatever is exciting, even if it's maybe not necessarily an anime that you're if you're incredibly excited or focused or excited about, it would add breadth to your community, because you're like, oh yeah, like this is the guy that plays all the anime games, like everyone that comes out, like the good ones and the shitty ones, all of them.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was I'm kind of concerned about the limited growth space, and because I was afraid to go away from one game at first, but just recently I did what you said. I streamed another anime game, and it seemed to
Sure.
work out.
Yeah. Well, people who
So,
like anime. It doesn't really matter. You know,
right.
like, I mean, that's like people who like music. You know, if you can proctor a decent discussion about music, you can talk to a country music fan about hip hop and why you enjoy it, and vice versa. You know, as long as you're smart enough to understand the way to have that conversation. It sounds like to me, it sounds like you're limiting yourself by not accepting like the reality that the space you're participating in is actually very large. You know, if someone were to come on here and says, I want, like, you could literally build an empire off of how much you like Care Bears if that was your thing, you know. And so the fact that you're passionate about anime and you want to build a community around that is, I don't really think that it's about drilling down and finding the tiny details about like, how do I reach more anime fans? They're fucking everywhere. So I think it's more about finding the best ways to create content to connect with that audience. Like, identify areas where content's underrepresented. Like, if there aren't a lot of really good anime podcasts, that's probably something you should put more focused time into. If there's not a really great, you know, anime Instagram or like whatever, I don't know, but I'm telling you, like, you should look into the different styles of content that are out there and start making the content that fills in the gaps, and that will help you grow.
Thank you. I think I'll definitely pursue that. I was trying to get into that, but like you said, I was kind of holding myself back on that.
You shouldn't. I mean, you should make every kind of content that you can, and you should go like 110% at anything that you identify as a knowledge gap or a content gap. I've been doing this podcast for over a year. How many other streamers have started doing actual podcasts about streaming? There's like 2. And there still isn't anyone who is, I guess, as accomplished as I am, that is doing stuff like this after a year. And so I guess the piece of advice, like the reason I talk about it, is because you need to realize that it may seem super obvious to you, like, oh, I'm going to do this and then everyone's going to start doing this. That's how I felt about this podcast when I got started. They won't. It won't happen. You might have 1 or 2 other people that are interested in it, but they're not going to be, they're either not going to stick with it, or they'll be fantastic people for you to collaborate with. So don't let the fact that you feel like it's really easy to see, oh, well, I should be doing this. It's easy to you because you're paying attention, and not a lot of people are paying attention.
Right. That does make sense.
What is your next question?
You kind of answered the third one. It was more about going to be about how do I branch away from, because you know, communities are built around something. For me, at first at least, it was the game, and I was going to ask about how I could build my community more so around me than just the games that I stream. But I think you kind of answered that for me.
Yeah, I mean, just like really good advice about that is, you know, the more that you put your personality into your content, the more people are going to connect with you, regardless of what you're talking about. You know, so if you also like fitness, or you also really like cooking, or if you really like doing macrame, or if you really like doing, I don't know, pinatas, like whatever the fuck it is that you like to do, right? You know, including that in your content from the beginning is smart, because it will get people's attention. Like, there's someone out there that likes macrame and anime as much as you do.
I
know,
really like the pinata idea. I think
yeah, I mean, like, if you make pinatas, like, there's people out there who love to make pinatas and love anime, and you will connect with them. And like, for that small segment of people, you will be their go-to person. And you just do that over and over and over and over again. And before you know it, you'll have a massive community of people who are connected with you through your primary and secondary interests, you know? Just all about putting yourself out there.
I see how that works
Yeah.
because like YouTube creators that I watch, I initially watch them for the kind of content they produce, but you're right. I keep watching because of their personality and such.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, do you have any follow-ups?
Um, I think you got everything.
Awesome, man.
Kind of got my third question during the second, and then elaborated. Thank you.
Hey, anytime, man. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Sure. So my Twitch is twitch.tv/iwearclothes. Twitter is twitter.com/iwearclothes, and you can find my Discord server from my Twitch page in the panels.
Awesome, man. Well, you have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing what you're cooking up.
Thank you. I will definitely take the multiple types of content creation to heart there.
You should look into it. You will be very surprised.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a great one.
Yeah. Those are some really good questions. I don't know if we've had an opportunity to talk about like identifying places to insert your content into like gaps before, but like it really is something that I see incredibly successful content creators doing that over and over again. They identify content gaps and they fill them with their content. And you do that enough, you start to grow a huge audience that's going to follow you anywhere. Um, I just think it's so important to develop a mindset of trying to not just trying to find like the next hot thing, but going one step farther and be like, okay, well, this game's coming out and everyone's really excited about it. Everyone's making a shit ton of X content for it. I should make Y because there's people that are going to be looking for that and it's not going to be there. And that's, I mean, like with Destiny, I've seen an incredibly powerful shift from people making a lot of YouTube content to everyone making a lot of stream content. And it's been a shift, and it's something I talked about a long time ago that it's easier to make money live streaming than it is off of ad revenue on YouTube, and it requires a different style of effort which matches with people better. But because I noticed that, I started making more YouTube content, and I hired Tullis and all this other stuff, and now my YouTube is doing a lot better when I can be consistent with it, because there isn't as much Destiny focused YouTube content as there was, let's say, 3 years ago. Let's grab this guy. This is Hakwat, I think is how you say it. How you doing today, sir?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
You sound really quiet, like maybe your microphone is picking up a different microphone that isn't next to your face.
It might just be the microphone's far away.
I really can't hear you at all, dude. You can check your audio devices or something. Maybe you're connected to a Bluetooth device that's very far away from you.
Is that better?
It's mildly better, but yeah, I don't know, man. You're really, really quiet. But we can try and make it work.
Well, if you want to deal with someone else first.
No, I got you. I can hear you, dude. Let's make it happen.
All right, cheers. Well, thanks for having me on. It's I rarely actually catch one of these live, so to get on it as well is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're on here, man. I want to help you out. So what can I do for you?
Well, without drawing it out too long, I'm in my third year of uni and
Okay.
trying to get into streaming as well.
Sure.
But I've got a few mental health issues that stop me from doing a lot. Like anyone with depression knows that on the really bad days, even the basic stuff is
Yeah, it's
a chore.
hard.
So yeah, so I've got my equipment and that, and it's pretty alright. and I've done a few streams that technically went well. Like on the technical side, it was all right, but I'm still at that stage where I'm basically talking to an empty stream.
Sure.
So I have a few views each time, but little to no interaction.
Sure.
So I'm talking mostly to myself, and even then, struggling to come up with things to talk about.
Sure.
So short of you, suck it up and talk shit if necessary. I was wondering if you had any sort of advice for someone with the personality of a sponge.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll tell you that there are successful people of every single personality type ever. And I feel like this happens a lot in the live streaming space is folks will look at everyone that they quickly identify as really successful and they see like this hyperactive, extremely energetic, outgoing personality. And while that is definitely, let's say, maybe the strongest play, right? Like that's something people can easily connect and identify with. There are just as many successful people, even on Twitch. And some of my favorite streamers, and the streamers I watched consistently back before I started streaming, are quieter, more introverted, lower energy people because that's what I needed in my day. So I think that you need to get this idea of that, of you having to be a certain way to make content out of your head completely because it's a trap. What's most important is that you're authentic. And if you are, a chilled, relaxed, calm kind of person, that's the kind of content you should be making. Doing anything else will be incredibly fucking exhausting for you. And it will seem weird and forced, and people pick up on that. So that's the first thing I'd say. Second of all, when it comes to if you have like a diagnosed, mental illness or whatever, if you have like I have attention deficit disorder, I've had it ever since I was 8. It doesn't go away, but if you've got something like that, I think it's super important to get get healthy, and take that part of your process, like take that as part of you getting ready to stream. It can take an excruciating long time to feel like you're in the place where you feel like yourself again. But if you try and, go out and play a football game with a broken ankle, like that ankle's going to stay broken. And I think far too many people ignore mental health because they're like, oh, it's just a mental health thing. But in my life, I've learned that you have to treat any sort of, mental deficiency or injury or whatever. It's very serious. It's just like a broken arm. So those would be my first two, I guess, pieces of advice. As far as it comes to like upping your concurrent viewer count or, getting more people to watch you and things like that, I think that, oh, and then you also had a question about like, what do I talk about? My best piece of advice for anyone who's starting off streaming and they have a problem with finding things to talk about is to sit down and write down a list of your 10 favorite things, like whether it's movies, music, like whatever, the things that you like, and go down that list from item 1 to item 10 and talk about every single one of those things until you're blue in the face and you can't think of anything else to say about them, and then go back to the first item again. That will give you a nice flow of content. And if you watch pretty much any content creator on Twitch, they always have the same, like, let's say 10 to 20 things that they're going to talk about on a daily basis. Even me. And that is sort of the most practical advice I can give you about making sure that you're talking. And when it comes to getting more people involved in your stream, that comes from being an active member of other communities, right? So going into other chats and talking to people and making friends and being part of those communities is like, it's the best. That's why when I got started streaming, I always had people showing up into my stream because they recognized me from the SDA forums or from other speedrunners chats or wherever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So just have a list of conversational topics, whether it be, I don't know, current affairs or Star Wars or anything like
Exactly, man. And it ties into what I was talking to the last guy about. Those are also pieces of your personality, right? That people are going to connect with. Like yesterday, I have been watching a lot of Marvel movies, so I got really interested and I asked my chat about like, okay, well, let's talk about like the Marvel comic universe and like teach me about it. And that ended up being like a 3-hour conversation where I got to learn a lot and people got to learn a lot about me just because it was one thing that I was super interested in.
So what would
Yeah.
what would you say to if the things that interested you tended to be more controversial? Like I like watching the news. I like all the horrible things that happen on the news.
I don't think
Because
that there's
they're
I don't think that there's anything wrong with I don't think there's anything wrong with discussing current events. I think that um I think that a lot of people shy away from it because it is controversial, and because it can create an unsavory environment. But I also think that if that's who you are and that's what you're passionate about, talking about it is important. It's important to you, and you will find ways to curate your community and have those discussions without people being toxic and awful and terrible. I don't think that there is anything that should be off limits, for you as a content creator, other than what you decide is off limits. Like I don't talk about politics, religion, and stuff like that on stream as kind of like a standard, as kind of like a standard, is a standard piece of advice. But for me, but I've also had discussions about current events and news and politics and whatever on stream because you can still do those things. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, all right. Thanks. That's pretty much all I got. I won't take up any more of your time.
Nah, man. Thank you so much for being on and asking such great questions, dude.
All right.
I appreciate you. You want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm at twitch.tv/Haquat. That's HAQUAT, and Twitter at THaquat. Apparently, someone had managed to take that.
It always happens, man. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, dude, and you have a great day.
You too, man. Cheers.
All right. We are, let's see. I don't know who else was in here next first. This is Ferret Vice. Let's see what Ferret Vice is up to. /needs /wants #conversation piece. I think it's, I don't know. I love those questions, man. I really want people to realize that you do not have to have, a specific style of personality in order to be a broadcaster.
No.
Hello?
Is it working?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
What's up,
Trying to
man?
figure it out. Oh, not much. I'm just hanging out with my son, watching him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's watching some Super Y. So if you hear that, I'm sorry.
No, that's whatever, dude. What can I do for you?
So, my question is, I've been thinking about starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And, I guess I'm confused on, not confused. I'm wondering how you find like the idea to start with like what to talk about, I guess.
What do you care about?
Well, like I care about the gaming community and all that. Like I want to do something with that, but I also want to do something with like college life advice, I guess, in a way, and also teen parent type stuff.
Okay.
Like, because I feel like there's not much outreach to the teen parent era side of things, and it's
Sure.
not.
How many podcasts do you want to make?
I don't know. So
because you could definitely make one about each of those.
Right. I might possibly have an opportunity with my college to create one for the school, because they don't have anything that puts any of the news out for the sports or any events that we're doing.
Gotcha.
And so I'm wondering, like, do you think that would be a good idea to help? Like, if I start with my college to.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to back you up
them.
when you're starting, I always feel like that's a good idea.
But do you think that would be a good way to push my name out?
I mean, yeah, you're the person doing the podcast. As long as you got to, name it what you wanted, call it what you wanted, and take it with you when you leave, then yeah, it's a great idea. If they want you to bust your ass and make the college's podcast that they're just going to hand off to the next person, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves. Because if you're building equity in something, you need to take it with you.
Okay. I guess that was my worry. Is like I was thinking about building, because I would like to build something for the college for them to use, because they like I said, they don't have any outgoing thing. But I also don't want to get screwed and be like, well, people only watch me because they listen to me because of that one thing. And
yeah, I mean, I think that you have some interesting aspects of your life that you want to highlight. I think you could do a podcast on all three of those subjects, specifically being a teen parent. Like, if that's a thing that you have lived, if that's the life you've lived, I think that is probably something. I don't know of a podcast that talks about that, at least not in a positive light, and definitely not as a consistent point of conversation on said podcast. But things like that, like identifying subjects and topics that people aren't talking about consistently, and then making it your business to share your story, is a very smart move.
Right.
But I think like all three ideas that you just shared are fantastic ideas for podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I've only just started thinking about it. Like, I don't have a solid idea. I don't have anything up and running. I mean, I have like my small ideas, but I don't have any up and running things. And I have a laptop that's subpar that I might be able to start things, but.
I mean, everybody likes being there on the ground floor, man. You don't have to worry I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Hold on, bub. Yeah. Then I guess the second question I have is more on the streaming side. Sorry, I lost my notes when I was writing them down. But
it's all good, dude.
So I've been streaming for about 2 months now, month and a half, 2 months.
Sure.
And I know it's not super long and whatnot, but I find it difficult to, like, I'll get one person in there to talk to, and they stay for like 2 minutes, and then they're out. Like, they'll ask to play, or when it comes to that, when people ask to play and they're like, sure, we'll go ahead and play, because since I'm a small channel, it goes through and they play, but then they don't ever come back. Like, they're like, oh, I got my playtime with somebody, and then and like I know you've talked about this multiple times, and I'm still running myself through your podcast, and I'm like episode 20.
Yeah.
But,
what's your question about that?
Like, how do you get them to continuously stay? I guess, like, is there like, I try to get involved with them, and I try to keep the like a person, like words losing me right now, but like get
so,
them to.
so you're providing value to them while they're there, and I mean, like, that's all you can do. There's no way to force them to come back.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, if you're, providing them with a good time and doing things that are in line with like what you like and what you enjoy, then I think you're doing everything right. And it's just patience,
All right.
It's really not, there's no secret formula. Like, it's just hard work and patience when it comes to interacting with people and building an audience.
Right.
That's that's all I got when it comes to that, honestly.
Yeah. Do I have time for one more?
Yeah, you have much of my time as you need, dude.
Okay.
It's fine.
So what do you think is considered to be like a medium growing channel? Like, would you, and by that I mean, like, as the follower count goes up, if it's too fast or too slow. I mean, I know it's all a process and it takes its time.
Sure.
And I know that Twitch isn't quite the place for growth, as you said.
I mean, you can grow here, but there are other
right.
plays on the board.
Right. And so, like, my question is, I maintain about 5 to 7, like, whenever I stream, 5 to 7 viewers when I stream. And then sometimes it drops down to 2, and those are kind of days where I'm like, oh, shoot, why am I doing this?
Uh-huh.
But, so do you think there's these time periods where it's going to be like, here's the 5 to 7, then I'll have those occasionally 2, 3, and then it'll go up to 10, 12, and kind of bounce its way back, but keep gradually going up? Is that a slow medium?
I mean, I think that people get really overly concerned about looking into the data, and especially when you're starting out, like, there's so many variables, and it's really about connecting with who is there, because as you connect with the people who are present, they will come back.
Right.
And that, I mean, like, that's it. Like, that's the best advice. Like, I don't think that there is a measure that you need to be looking at every single day to tell you whether or not you're being successful or if you're failing. I know everyone wants there to be. There isn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's about being there consistently and building a community. It's not about getting X amount of followers and concurrent viewers every single day. Like, my concurrency jumps all over the place when I'm doing stuff like this. It's probably some of the lowest viewed content I ever make on Twitch, period.
Yeah.
And so if I were to look at that and say, oh, okay, well, Ask Broman's fucking useless and it doesn't help anyone and no one tunes in to watch it, so fuck it, I won't do it anymore. But if I had that attitude, how would that affect you? And how would that affect everyone who listens to this podcast? Like, even me just saying that, I'm sure there's someone like listening in the car right now, like, oh God, like, oh shit, panicking because they're like, oh, I hope he doesn't.
You're right.
I hope he doesn't.
I would be freaking out if he did that
like,
too.
oh, he's gonna quit. Oh, that fucking sucks. Because there's so much more to it than just those 1 or 2 numbers.
Right.
I would focus, like, make sure you're paying attention to your viewer count and your numbers and all that stuff, but really focus, like I said, focus on keeping conversations going, focus on interacting with people who are there, and if somebody never comes back, fuck them, who cares? Right. You did something nice for them, and you have become a part of their life experience that will never go away. It's permanent. History is permanent. So looking at it that way is fantastic, and I think that's sort of the mindset you should pick up with the content that you're making.
Okay. So just reach out for the goodness of quality and to those that I can't affect.
Yeah, focus on quality, and there will be people that connect with you and they'll stay. And it just takes a long fucking time to find those people, especially when you're getting started. Obviously all the advice I just gave the other guy as well, being incredibly active in other chat rooms, being parts of forum communities, being active on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook, getting your your name out there as somebody who's fun to interact with or that makes quality content is very important.
All right. Well, I think those are my questions.
Oh, that's great. Those are questions a lot of people have, man. I appreciate it. I really I really look forward to if you're going to do a podcast about being a teen parent. I feel like that's that seems like a gold mine to me as far as like attention and getting people to listen to what you said, because I think that's it's just a very unique perspective.
Right, and like I mean, it's not as big as it used to be, but teen pregnancy is still a very big problem. So it's not that it's problems that people don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. So why not become the person who talks about it and folks listen to?
Right.
As long as you're not a piece of shit. Which you don't seem like a piece of shit,
No.
so it'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all.
Awesome, dude. Well, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, and we'll move on to the next person here.
All right. So I don't have set up my Instagram or Facebook for my Twitch stuff yet, but you can follow me at Twitch at twitch.tv/ferretvice.
Mm-hmm.
No underscores or spaces or anything. And then Twitter is also the same, at ferretvice.
Gotcha, man.
And that's FERRETVICE.
Excellent, dude.
Thanks, man.
You have a good one.
You too.
There's a lot of good questions, chat. There's a lot of good questions. But so many people want there to be a simple answer or a simple equation that tells them whether or not they're successful or they're doing the right thing. They want to know that what they're doing is working, and the reality is, like, over long periods of time, I feel like you can definitely identify that stuff. Like you can tell where the trend is going, if it's trending up still, if it's trending down still, like whatever. But I think on the day-to-day, you can't be focused on that kind of stuff. You have to be focused on entertaining people. Day-to-day, like, doing a debrief and looking at your numbers and trying to understand what you did that went good for numbers and what you did that went bad for numbers is important. But if you live by those numbers, you're going to end up pandering content to get the best numbers you can, and eventually that'll bite you in the ass. So, it's a tough balance, but to anyone who's getting started, I think it's all about making the best content that you can every day and really trying to find your voice. Let's grab this guy. This is Double French. Twice as French as you'd ever expect.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Someone who's French. Hello. What's up?
How's it going today?
It's going great.
Good. I just wanted to ask you, like, what motivates you to do what you do every day, and any tips to stay motivated for streaming and stuff?
Sure. I have two big motivational things, I guess, every day. One is responsibility. Like, there's people who are counting on me every day to stream and like be here. It's a responsibility to them, and then the responsibility to myself. I've made a commitment that I want to make this my job, so you have to show up. Just like, it's like if I was working on an oil rig and I just decided I don't feel good, I can't come into work, they just okay, cool, you're fired. So there's that. And then just I don't want to live a day in my life that I really feel like I regret everything that I did. So I kind of look at things that way a lot. Like, what would I regret? Like, I don't know if I've had a day in the past year where I really felt like I wasted my time. Because everything kind of has a net positive effect, even if you take like a big fat loss on something. I feel like there's always something that I can learn or I can grow from. So I try and live my life like that, without regrets, and fulfilling all the responsibilities I have to the people that I love and are around me every day. But those are the big things that motivate me on a day-to-day basis. When I have to dig really deep, there's a whole lot of a big chip on my shoulder from growing up and being treated like absolute shit by everybody that I knew when I was in school. Growing up and just watching my mom, who worked as a janitor in our school, so that me and my sister and my brother could go to that school, and like watching rich kids throw trash at her and then telling them to, her to pick it up and shit like that. Like the desire to make those people regret ever doing something like that and making them feel like pieces of garbage for telling me that I was going to fail when, at the end of at the end of everything, when we're all 70 years old. Like, I want them to regret their life. Like, I want them to feel like pieces of shit, and I want them to apologize, and I don't want them to do that. I don't think that getting that is something that you can get without putting in the work. Those people in my life play a really gross game where money talks and that's all that talks. So, like, on a very deep motivational level, I make sure that everything that I do in my life lines up. Everything in my life lines up with, my goal of proving all those people wrong.
All right. Yeah, I gotta. My parents don't. I don't think they believe in what I want to do.
That's great. Prove them wrong.
I want to do streaming like full time. I want to make it my job. I want to make a difference in the world somehow with this. And,
Yeah, I mean, my parents didn't support what I was doing for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, like, you have to make it happen, dude. Like, it's putting in the work. If you really believe that that's what you want, then, like, you should obsessively chase every single moment of free time that you have in your life and devote it to that goal.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
really
you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's helpful for you at all.
100%, yes.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the desire to prove people wrong is something that, like, people, you get told your whole life, like, you shouldn't feel that way. You should just, blah, blah, blah. But, like, fuck that. If you watch, like, any superhero movie, or to go back to the first conversation, any anime ever, the fucking main character of every anime is the kid that nobody thinks is worth anything. And that's where it starts. And what is their motivation? They have a big dream and they're going to prove everybody wrong. Like, it is a powerful reality that when you accept full responsibility for whatever your big dream is, it's easy to take all of the negativity around you and turn it into jet fuel to propel yourself towards your dreams. And that's what I do. So, whether your parents believe in you or not, or your friends believe in you or not, what matters is that you think it's the right thing for you and you work as hard as you can until it makes sense to maybe try something else.
All right. I will stick to that as best I can.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good one. Unless you want to let everybody know where they can find you.
I stream on Mixer at Double French, and same thing for Twitter, Facebook. For Instagram, it's Double French _.
Gotcha.
And I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Yeah. I know, whenever I talk about this stuff, people always get a little uncomfortable because I'm a very nice person. But some of my motivations are incredibly, what have I been called? Vindictive. But I think that it's important to remember where you come from all the time and to feel grounded, because if you don't, like, if I didn't take time and think about what my life was like before streaming, it would be very easy for me to take everything that I have it'd be very easy for me to take everything that I have for granted and start going down this hole of comparing myself to anyone else who's a professional content creator and saying things like, oh, well, if I'm not as successful as so-and-so, then I'm failing, because the only comparison you should be making is to who you have been in the past. Yeah. So I think that if you're sitting there and you feel defeated by other people, you have the option to, like, let them win that fight or you have the option to take everything they've said about you and turn it into the motivation that you need to achieve your goals. And like, yeah, proving everybody wrong at my whatever fucking high school reunion is going to be a great feeling, but like ultimately I still have remained true to who I am. A lot of the things that I do are focused on making the world a better place, because the world that I had growing up was shit. The people around me were shit, and I saw people treated like crap or ignored or whatever, and I made the choice that I didn't want anyone else to ever feel like that if I had the power to do so. So, working with St. Jude, building King's Coast into a business where we can hire adults with disabilities and give them great jobs and things like that. Like, those are all, foundational parts of my life that wouldn't be there if I wouldn't have accepted this, challenge, I guess, from growing up. So there's that. What's up, Metal Blade 85? How you doing?
Oh, hey, doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
What can I do for you?
I just have probably like a quick question. Just want to say good job with the podcast. Pretty awesome. A lot of good information. But like what advice would you give for anyone or like starting out? Just like the little things that you wish you could have thought of, like, you're like 3 years in, you find out an easier way to do things or like a new way to do things. Like, oh, why didn't I think of that sooner? Just like that kind of stuff.
So what are some pieces of advice some things I wish I would have known?
Just like it could be technical, or just like how to like deal with chat, or just like how to conduct yourself on stream, stuff.
I think that the biggest thing I wish I would have known, I guess at the start, would have probably been that it's okay to ban people. Like, that's one of the biggest things, right? Like, you fucking, if someone's being a dickhead, get rid of them.
That attitude also.
Yeah, if someone's being a dickhead, get rid of them.
Also.
That your sanity is not worth one tick on your view count, right? So I think that's probably a big piece of advice. And then the other piece of advice is, like, don't be afraid to try new things. You don't always like set an amount of time every week that you say, this is time I am devoting towards taking a risk with my content. Because if you get too comfy and too cozy and you start doing the same thing every single day, eventually your content will get super boring, and then you'll be too scared to take a risk because you'll feel trapped. But if you're constantly not just, I guess, seasoning yourself,
changing,
and getting yourself ready and making sure you're taking these risks consistently, but you're also keeping your community, your whole community will be built like, oh yeah, no, like, it's Saturday, this is when Metal Man plays random shit, and then it won't be as scary as opposed to, playing one game for 3 years, and then when you play something else, everyone asks if you've quit playing that game for all of eternity just because you're, doing something a little bit different.
And it's definitely just funny watching you play, and it's like people are like, what, Broman quit Destiny or something? But
yeah. I mean, even this morning you got to see it, right? Hey, have you quit doing the thing that you do all the time? No. But I realized that the reason that happens is partly because I didn't include enough variety back when people started finding my channel, and that's fine.
Advice. Yeah.
So those are probably the two biggest things that I have for you.
And then thank you. And probably just one quick one about like timing on playing games. Like, I'm sure everyone knows Red Dead's going to be out, and if I try to stream that as soon as it comes out, I'm just going to get shot to the bottom.
Sure.
I've heard, I don't know if it's like the current advice, but like 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, maybe start streaming.
Yeah, I mean,
types of games.
yeah, usually 1 or 2 weeks. It kind of depends. You sort of need to pay attention to the flow of things, but look at the directory. Usually once all of the really big broadcasters start to move on to whatever the next big release is, because that's what they have to do. It's a great time for you to sort of swoop in and, have that experience with a most likely larger viewer count than you usually would have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Broman.
Oh, anytime, man. Is there anything else I can do for you? Any follow-up questions?
No. It's listen to the podcast and get a lot of like big picture questions, which are definitely good questions. But just curious to see what just smaller little things that the variety thing definitely it's a good thing to keep in mind.
I think that the variety advice is something that a lot of people ignore, and it's hard to sort of break the habit of like, this is working, so I need to keep doing this.
Yeah.
That mentality, but eventually it'll burn you and it'll burn your community out. So yeah, for sure.
All right, that's good. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Well, you have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Right. All right. Good questions today. Let's grab the escape artist.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Well, if I could start off with a little background of my question,
sure,
that'd be great. So, a good friend of mine used to co-stream about 4 years ago, and we had a really great time. We were getting a lot of viewers, and life kind of happened,
sure.
And I ended up, getting engaged, having a couple children. So I had to kind of put that on the back burner, and now I'm kind of wanting to get back at it and start over again. And I guess my question is, is it okay for me to have a set schedule, like maybe 1 or 2 hours a day? I'm not really looking at streaming being like a kind of full-time job, more of a kind of a side hustle, as you guys kind of say.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of is my question. I know my time is just kind of occupied with have a full-time job.
Sure, yeah, you have limited time.
Yeah. So and I'm also right now working on my master's degree. So I figure once I get that complete, we'll be in the semester, I'll be able to start having a little more time to put towards the stream. So you think maybe streaming 1 or 2 hours a day is fine if it's just not something, if it's just like a side hustle kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And would it matter should I stream just one game, or just to kind of have variety in my stream and kind of let that be my thing, just have the viewers that just want to be there for me, not just the game I'm playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's the same answer, man. Like, play what you want to play and have a good time, while also keeping an eye on what is the best thing for you to play in that moment. That is the honest to God best answer I can give you. And unfortunately, that answer is you have to work hard and pay attention.
Yeah. That's pretty much my questions. I watched yours and the stream that you and Kevin did a while back.
Yeah.
And I know that he had a kid.
Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's really helpful. So I miss streaming, and gaming's always been a passion of mine.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason not to share it with people.
Exactly.
That's where you're at. And I think if that's where you're at right now and you're doing it for fun and you don't have a lot of time to commit to it, I would just stream whatever your gaming time is for the day,
Awesome.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Well, that's all I got for you. I appreciate your help.
Awesome, man. You have a good one.
All right. You too.
All right. I want to get this guy. This is GK Anubis.
Hello there, good sir.
Yeah. Hello. What can I do for you, man?
So I just want to say thank you for having me on, and actually want to ask, is it okay to have me on? Because it's technically my second time.
That's fine, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Follow-ups are great.
I definitely want to say thank you, because for the second time first time you had me on, you actually helped me out. I got affiliate on Twitch.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you. Streams helping out. I've been doing a whole lot better, and better than life, because I actually got to go to the Guardian Con. got to meet you. Did a little shoulder dance with you. That was fun. But I don't have a question about streaming. I actually am now thinking more like real big into the future and financial wise.
Sure.
So in the next couple of months, I'm going to be getting access to a trust fund that I've had for a while.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm going to have at least, I mean, it's a good bit of money, but I want to take at least 1,000 to 2,000 of that and use that to make more, basically, if that makes sense.
Sure. Like investing.
Yeah. What would be some of the key things that you would tell me, like, if I'm coming, like, basically you asking, like, what should I do?
Well, I mean, I can't give you financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. But my practice with money that I have to sort of invest is always, you know, there's things in our life that we're passionate about, and there's reasons that we're passionate about it. So, you know, my process is usually like, okay, why do I care about this? Is this really cool? Awesome. And then I find the businesses that make whatever that is, right? Whether it's, you know, it's coffee or video games or architecture or construction or, I don't know, gutters. And you find companies that make things that you use every day. And then you do a little bit of research to find out like what's the return been for those sorts of things. And then eventually, you know, you make a decision about whether or not you feel like those places are great to invest in. That's kind of my process. I know that, and we've talked about this on the stream a few times, gaming stocks specifically have outperformed a lot of the big tech giants. Like the one that always stands out to me is over the past 5 years, Ubisoft has delivered a better return for their investors than Apple has, which is kind of fucking insane. But it speaks to the reality of, you know, if you are passionate about games, there's opportunities to invest in the gaming space. If you're passionate about, you know, banking, there's obviously ways that you can invest in the, you know, financial market space. If, you know, if there are, if there's, it ultimately comes down to like finding the things you're passionate about first, because to me, if you invest in something and you're not passionate about it, you're just going to be constantly second guessing whether or not you made a smart choice. Okay. The other obvious move is you could take some of that money that you're getting access to and find a market fund or a manager for it and give it to them and let them take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, because I was also thinking about putting it into crypto, but I'm still.
Yeah, I mean, cryptocurrency is incredibly high risk. That's where I play around with a lot of the stuff that I do. But that's all money that I'm completely prepared to lose as well. I think that.
My mindset to that.
Yeah. You know, and I think that that's like ultimately, it really just sort of depends on where you're at and what you want to do with it. As far as like, if you want to learn more about cryptocurrency, the bulk of discussion that the cryptocurrency community has about projects and financial analysis and technical analysis and like everything about those markets is like a lot of those discussions happen on Twitter. And so my best advice for anyone who's trying to get involved in that space is, anyone's trying to get involved in that space, I'd recommend paying attention to that, and then just sort of like reading whatever news articles are around, you know, about projects that you like.
Okay.
Lots of research. Lots and lots and lots of research.
Yeah, my eyes are glued to my computer already, so I might as well get on that.
Yeah.
If I'm not at work, my eyes are on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
So another question I have is, by the way, thank you so much, because this helps me out like immensely. I can't thank you enough.
For sure, man.
Another question I have is, of course, I stream, and I've been scared for a while about streaming on YouTube, since I've always started off on Twitch and I'm already an affiliate.
Yeah.
But I decided, I mean, I've got growth and it's good. It's an alright growth, but I know I could grow more if I'm streaming either on Mixer, Facebook, YouTube. and I want to start my YouTube channel back up. So I've been thinking maybe I should just start streaming on YouTube again.
Yeah.
But the only thing holding me back is my PC. So if you had my next question is, if you had $1,000,
Okay.
what kind of PC would you put together? I have one. The PC I have now, I can use that for just gaming off of it.
Sure.
And what I want to make is basically for video editing or streaming.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're looking to build a computer that's just like a streaming rig, you don't really need a lot in it. You need the most important part of that would be a processor. So like any current generation i7 processor is going to do a great job. After that, I mean, any old hard drive's probably going to do. And you don't need a top of the line graphics card. So you could get something like a 1060 or, like further down the scale and sort of budget save there. But yeah, like it's not for a streaming rig particularly, it's all about what processors you have, and then everything else sort of comes secondary to that.
Okay. Because that was my biggest thing. I know a lot of things that you say, like doing research, and I am one of the unfortunate few that come across to doing research for certain problems that I have, and I find no answers.
Okay.
Like I find answers, but they all seem to be the lucky pulls for everybody else. Like, oh, I have this issue I have an issue right now with USB and plugging in an Xbox controller.
Sure.
I found like 100 different solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them worked for me for some reason. Every other thing with my USB worked fine.
Yeah.
But plugging in an Xbox controller, my PC says not doing it. And so,
I mean, sometimes it's like updating your USB drivers. Sometimes it's something as simple as like it's just being a dickhead. And then I know for me, I bought like a multi-lane USB expander thing, so I can plug 4 in, and that fixed some of my issues. Sometimes it just needs to be tricked into thinking it's a new port. Unfortunately, like I don't really have any answers for that.
Yeah. You're good. You're fine. I was just basically saying, like, kind of backing up with you saying, do research.
Yeah.
It helps out a lot. So I definitely will be doing more research. Honestly, I didn't start doing a lot of research until I talked to you the first time.
Sure.
Which I'll tell, like, if I can, say anybody who's listening, definitely do your research. It helps out a lot.
Awesome.
And there's definitely sometimes, like, basically what I was saying is, after all the research I've done, I still have to come to somebody, like, so I'll come to you for certain answers, in which you've helped me get those, like the crypto, the streaming PC. So pretty much coming down to it, I'm just saying thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, dude.
I think that's all I have right now.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope everything works out and you can get things sorted out and you get your streaming PC all built up and all that good stuff. But you have an awesome day. You want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Yes, I actually have one more thing.
Oh, one more question. All right.
Well, not really a question, just a statement.
Okay.
I wonder, does anybody won the Mega Millions yet?
No one won the Mega Millions yet.
Good.
I think the next drawing is on Tuesday.
Good, because I was one number off.
Oh, that sucks.
And I just want to let you know that if the next drawing, if I do win, Guardian Con will triple.
All right, I love it, man. Yeah. Saving those kiddos. Fantastic. One number, man. Yeah, I know, right? I feel like you still win something for being that close, but I don't know.
I'm not that good with the lottery, so. But yeah, people can find me. It was Anubis Mortal. Now it's GK Anubis on Twitch. Twitter is the same. YouTube will be that. It's different. It's my old name now, but I'll be changing it soon to GK Anubis. So other than that, thank you again, Broman.
Thanks, man. Everyone in chat saying if you were one number off, apparently you've won $1 million. So maybe you should go check.
Oh, maybe you should.
Okay. Yeah, you really should.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you. Bye. Man, that'd be awesome if he just found out he won $1 million, Chad. That'd be great. I have to go use the restroom really quick. This is a longer episode. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk to 777 Gaming. All right. What's up, 777?
Hey, bro, man, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
That's good. Let's see. My question's kind of, I guess, more of wanting your take on, I guess, a situation that happened to me recently. I started streaming on Twitch a little bit at the beginning of the year, and then decided to make the switch over to Mixer around March, maybe.
Gotcha.
Spent about, let's see, 6 months streaming over there. Kind of started building a little bit of a community. Got to meet some people and whatnot. But I found out I was making a lot more connections and friends over on the Twitch side of things, because I was networking both on Twitch and Mixer. And I found out that since most of the people I was making friends with were on Twitch, they had a big problem using like the Mixer mobile app. Like it wouldn't work for them very well. It wouldn't
Yeah, the
work
mobile
very
apps
well.
had some problems.
Yeah, it seems like if I use it to watch any of my friends, it overheats my phone. It's really bad. Yeah, so then I decided, since like also with inspiration of something that Gary Vee had said, like don't put blockades in front of like the content if you have people trying to watch it.
Sure.
And the platform was turning into something that was a blockade in front of people who wanted to watch me.
Sure.
So I decided to make the switch over to Twitch. The whole community was super excited about it. They got me to partner in like, not partner, affiliate in like a couple weeks, and it's been really great. Gone from streaming to basically nobody to at least I'd say 2 or 3 people, which is good for me just starting out, and I can actually have people to interact with, play with, talk to, and it's been great. So I guess I wanted to hear like your take on it and maybe help either me or maybe even somebody else who might be in the same situation. Like I guess a reinforcement about their decision, because I was pretty dedicated towards Mixer and kind of felt bad for leaving it since I spent 6 months on it. But
Sure. What in particular are you curious about?
I guess just I guess kind of just I don't know, maybe like a second opinion. I don't think if I made like the right decision, since I know Mixer is like it is a growing platform and it still does have potential. And I mean, in a way, it kind of felt like I was leaving it before I could have like I guess fully realized that potential. But at the same time, I felt like I couldn't keep like a blockage in front of people that wanted to actually try and spend time with me more than a few seconds until their app crashed.
Sure. I mean, I'll say this. Streaming is really new. When I streamed on Twitch, the website was down almost every other day. And like, I definitely respect the concept of making sure that you don't put barriers between you and your audience. And one of the ways to deal with that barrier is to change platforms. Another way would be to just make more content in more places. So there's like, that's just an angle and perspective that I don't know if you've considered yet. Like, okay, well, streaming on Mixer is weird because sometimes people's phones overheat. Also, you said that there wasn't an incredibly large amount of people watching you, so there's also a chance that maybe everyone just got a shitty phone, or they haven't fucking updated it in forever, or they don't really use the mobile app. Like, there's a lot of variables when you're talking about an incredibly small sample size. You know, and again, it's a risk reward play, right? Is it easier for people to find you and watch you on Twitch? Absolutely. Is your growth potential going to be the same as growing on a newly developing platform? Probably not. So it is tough, and ultimately it's a decision that you just have to make based off of what your goal set is and what your risk tolerance is. You know, if you feel like being on Twitch is making your life a lot easier, and you feel like it's making it easier to, you know, make the content that you want to make, then yeah, go right ahead. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It's hard because this is really just a question about what's your end goal, what's your end game, how much time do you have to put into it. I'd also want to know questions like, do you have a podcast? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have YouTube? What other content are you making consistently, or is it just streaming? You know, there's so many variables to like looking at one aspect of you making content. And what it comes down to ultimately is like wherever you feel like you can make your best content. I would point out that Mixer has a lot of features that Twitch probably should have and doesn't. Co-streaming is a huge one. The fact that they have a fully integrated, you know, the Sparks system is something that Twitch should probably have. You know, they have the Hype Zone, which I know is like a huge fucking, everyone has an opinion about that over there. But they have the discoverability tools on that platform, and the ability to make collaborative content on that platform kicks the living shit out of what Twitch has. So they're, again, like, it's really about, do I want to put up with the growing pains of a new platform for the potential payoff of being one of the top whoever on that platform, which was the exact risk play that I made when I started streaming on Twitch. Was nobody knows what the fuck this is. I could make content on YouTube, but I'm going to make content on Twitch instead, because I think it's so early. I could probably make it in the top 1,000 content creators there, and I can make it my job. You know, it's about whether or not you want to take that risk, or if you want to take the risk of outperforming, you know, the other 2 million people who stream on Twitch every single day or week.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer for you. Basically, that's a really long way of me saying there isn't a simple answer, and I don't have an opinion, and I won't tell you what to do. Ultimately, when it comes to big choices in my life, the question I ask myself is, in 5 years, which choice would I have regretted more? And I always make the choice that reduces my regret, even if that makes it the harder decision. You know, like when I was streaming on Twitch, I was like, you know, YouTube is safer. I could just make content there. And then I was like, you know, I would really regret not having given this new platform and style of content a chance, especially if it blows up. So that kind of the fear of missing out, and then the fear of really feeling like I screwed myself, led me to Twitch to work, you know, focus my content there and be more consistent.
Okay. All right, so yeah, well, maybe you didn't exactly answer the question, but I feel like you gave enough like feedback, at least something to like to think about. Listen back to this for sure, and like definitely keep things in mind, because yeah, I mean I love streaming and definitely want to keep doing it. So
yeah, for sure, man. I think there's just a lot of things for you to think about. And you are thinking about the really high level important stuff, but don't forget that it's also about making amazing content.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you have any follow-ups for me? Anything else?
No, I think that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome, man. Well, you have a fantastic day, and best of luck trying to sort it out.
All right, same, man.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Have a good one. It's tough, man. It is really tough. It is always about what sort of risk you were willing to take. Because you have to realize, like, it's fucking insane to think that you're going to talk into a microphone and play a video game and pay your bills with it. But I think when you accept that reality and then you start working hard afterwards, it makes things a little bit, it just puts things in perspective about how much hard work it'll take and what a massive risk you're taking up front is anyway. I've kind of built my whole life around taking a lot of really crazy risks, and a lot of them haven't worked out, but when they do work out, it works out in a big way. And there's a point that's being brought up in chat that I want to discuss, and I feel like it would be a great way to close the podcast out today. It's pretty difficult growing on Mixer right now. They've done... he didn't tell us where to find him. Oh, shit. I'm assuming it's 777 Gaming, twitch.tv/777 Gaming. Or you can post it in chat. It's pretty difficult growing on Mixer at the moment. They haven't done a lot of new things since Hype Zone, and half of Mixer is either a open lobby or AFK Forza streams with a random foreign guy who streams once a month, risk versus reward. So when some people hear that, they think, wow, that's so underdeveloped. I want to go somewhere that's more developed. And you are absolutely that's absolutely a thing that you can do. To me, when I hear that, I think, what a fucking incredible opportunity that there is next to no one on this platform that's taking it seriously. Things change real quick when you get folks on a platform that take it incredibly seriously and really start to drive it forward. And maybe Mixer just hasn't had its moment yet. And we can have this discussion all day. We had it at the beginning of the stream as well. Microsoft isn't leveraging their entire product line and platform to drive people to Mixer yet. And once they do, if they do, I think that everyone who gave up on Mixer before that moment will fucking regret everything. Because once Microsoft does something like that, if they do, when they do, I will say when because it's Microsoft. When or if. Either way. All I'm saying is if you waited for Twitch Prime to launch to start streaming on Twitch, this is the analogy I'll draw. If you waited for Twitch Prime to launch to start streaming on Twitch because you were waiting to see how direct Amazon's involvement would be, you would have started streaming on Twitch a year and 8 months after Amazon bought Twitch. So you would have wasted a lot of opportunity cost time. I think that Facebook Gaming and Mixer and YouTube Gaming are all finally starting to figure their shit out. And like we were talking about earlier, if this was before the podcast started, so I'll bring it up again. If a platform like Microsoft decides to put Mixer streamers on rotation, on Xboxes, which is a very obvious thing that they could do, there's 24 million Xboxes in the world. And that's a lot of people participating in the platform and in the market space. And I think that, and I guess I'll end with this, the biggest vulnerability of any successful platform is the thought that they are invincible. And I don't think I've seen Twitch act more invincible than they have been acting in this past year. And that is usually not a fantastic sign. So, I'm always a contrarian. I will always argue that competition is better. I will always argue that companies that have been massively successful probably know how to do the things that maintain them being massively successful. And ultimately, when it comes to doing stuff and taking time, when it comes to doing stuff and taking time out of your day to make content, it's about where you want to put it. And I think that for me, risk-taking behavior is always better than safe bets. So, good episode of the podcast, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Please share this with friends, family, whoever you want. I love and appreciate all of you, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.